What's up, everyone? It's been a couple games since we actually made a video, so hope everyone's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. It's been a little busy, but it's been a couple games that have gone by, so we're gonna go over everything. Um, the last time we talked, we were previewing the series before Game One. Then Game One happened, and we know what happened. Knicks got up big. I think they got up to about 17, and they blew the game. They choked it away. Then game two happened, and you were hoping, Knicks would answer the bell and say, you know what? We're going to respond. We're going to say, Haliburton giving us the choke sign, you know what? Let's shove it right back in their face. And they didn't. And they lost game two. Then game three happened, and you're like, all right, they're fighting for their lives. They've been on the road. They've fought back. They have won on the road. They were 5-1 going into game three on the road. All right, we're going to have one of those games where the Knicks fight back. And the first half happened, and all of a sudden they're down 20, and the team looks lifeless. And I'm not gonna lie, the team looked dead. They looked like they were letting go of the rope. They looked like it was over. Pacers were gonna dance on their grave. Halliburton's dancing all over the court because, they're up, so of course he's dancing, and he's into the game. Um, and then a little thing happened. The Knicks cut it to 13 before the half. That game could easily have been 25, maybe even 30 at half. But what the Knicks did, they cut it to 13. And they they gave themselves a little bit of life. They came out, start the third, and the game stayed around 12 to 15 points for most of the third quarter. And you were like, okay, they're hanging around. Can they get it under 10? And then Deuce McBride came in the game and went on a 7-0 run by himself, cut it to 8. Then he had the turnover. Miles Turner came down, made it 10 points. So you're like, okay, you're down 10. You got a little bit of momentum. Pacers are still kind of in control. They're at home, so it's going to be tough. Let's see what happens. Towns hits a 3 to cut it to 7. Then he gets an and then he gets a layup. 7 again. Then they cut it to 5. Then Towns gets an and 1, cuts it to 3. Then Siakam comes down on the other end, gets an and 1, puts it back up to 6. Then all of a sudden the Knicks hit some shots, cut it to 4. Then Towns gets another and 1. Then Towns hits a 3 and they're up 2. And then you're like, okay, they're up 2. Haliburton comes down, hits a 3, they're back up 1. Towns gets the dunk, goes up 2. And I think the Pacers tied it. And that's when Jalen Brunson came in, hit that little floater. They went back up 2. Then the Knicks got stops. And they got more stops. And then Brunson hit 2 free throws. And they were up 4. And that was all she wrote. Knicks didn't give up any threes. The Pacers made 5 threes for the game. And I think that was the Knicks' best defensive effort of the series. You know, game one, they were up by 17, and you could say, well, that was a good defensive effort, but it wasn't because then Neesmith went off and hit a bunch of threes. Game two, they let Siakam go off. Game three, nobody went off for the Pacers. They had their spurt in the second quarter, and then really nobody was doing anything for them. So I think that was their best defensive effort, especially in that fourth quarter. And you kind of saw the team kind of gain that confidence back that they had after game six against the Celtics. It almost felt like you saw the weight of that game one loss against the Pacers lift off their shoulders. It was almost like Towns said, you know what? I'm going to put you on my back and we're going to forget about game one. And that's kind of what happened. All of a sudden, you see OG playing aggressive, blocking Neesmith. staring at him, screaming at him. You saw Shamit take a charge from Obi and screaming at him. And Obi top and acting all tough, but that's what Obi does. He acts tough, and then he's sitting on the bench in the big moments. And it almost felt like the Knicks were like, you know what? F this, man. F this. What are we doing? And they responded. And you finally saw the Knicks. Now we saw them come back from 20 against the Celtics. But this was different. This was kind of like, no, we're not going out like this. We're not getting swept. We're not going down 3-0. We're going to fight. We're going to fight back. And they did. They fought. And yeah, we like I said, we've seen this team come back from down 20, but this was different. It just wasn't like the Pacers going cold and the Knicks started making like the Knicks got hot. This was gritty. This was we're gonna shut you down and we're gonna come back and win this game. We're gonna take this game. And you notice how different teams celebrate wins. You see it, you know. Timberwolves are up 40, they're celebrating, they're dancing. The Pacers won their 2 games in New York and they're dancing, they're talking their ish. They're walking off the court saying it's quiet in here. They're giving the choke sign. They're celebrating every win like they won the series. And now, yes, the Knicks are down 2-0 and they're winning. They win the game. It's 2-1, so they're still down in the series. But there's no craziness. There's no jumping up and down. There's no going crazy. It was let's get off the court. There's no clapping. I mean, they're happy they won, but they walked off the court like they didn't do anything. I mean, in reality, they haven't done anything. You're still down 2-1, and you have to play another. You have to win another road game. But I think something. I said this after game 6 against Celtics. I thought something clicked, and we were going to get a better effort. And game 1, we really did get that effort, except for the last 2 minutes, and I think that demoralized them. It hit them. They could say whatever they want, like, "Hey, we moved on. We're ready for game 2." They were not ready for game 2. Brunson scored 40, but the rest of the team was not ready. Josh Hart wasn't ready. Towns wasn't ready. Bridges wasn't ready. OG wasn't ready. They played that game like they ever had a hangover from game 1. They looked demoralized. And yeah, they only lost by 5, but they looked shook. And they looked like they were letting go of the rope. And that first half of game 4, they let go of the rope a little bit. They were done. And I see people going, "Oh, look at all the people that jumped off the bandwagon." Nobody jumped off the bandwagon. They were nervous, me included. I think I tweeted out something basically saying that, like, "Hey, it's over. They're done." You saw it in their eyes. They were done. And that little spurt to close the half gave them a little life. Ooh, excuse me. Long day at Hershey yesterday. Excuse me. Um, it gave them a little bit of life. And once they got that little bit of life, you kind of saw it. They're like, "Okay, come on, we got this." And Deuce McBride's little run, they were like, all right, we're chipping away, we're chipping away. You could see the Pacers starting to get a little tight. And that fourth quarter, the Pacers played a tight fourth quarter. They were not playing their game. And I gotta say this. And Haliburton's a great player, but is there any bigger front runner than Tyrese Haliburton? When the Pacers are losing, he is nowhere to be found. He is not aggressive at all when the Pacers are losing. Even in game 1, yeah, he hit that shot that bounced 20 feet in the air and fell in. But the reason the Pacers won game 1 was because of Aaron Nesmith. The reason the Pacers won game 2 is because of Pascal Siakam. Yeah, and Haliburton gets all like this credit. Oh, look at him. But the dude is only dancing and doing stuff when the Pacers are up. When the Pacers are down, he is can't get rid of the ball quick enough. He is, you know, everyone gets criticized for that that player poll. Why do you think the players said that he's the most overrated? Maybe because they see what everybody else sees. He's a front runner. Yeah, he hits some big shots. Yeah, he's a clutch player. Cool. But he's not the reason the Pacers get there. He hits the big shot, sure. He hit the big shot against the Cavs. That he missed the free throw on purpose. Give me a break. He just missed the free throw. And he was lucky to get the rebound. He hits these step back threes that are prayer shots. And that's great. He's a good player. He's a good passer. He's a terrible defender. But the dude only shows up when the Pacers are up and they're flowing and they're running around. You notice in the fourth quarter where was Tyrese Haliburton to help them stop the Knicks run? Where was he? He hit he hit a three, I think, when the Knicks were down two to get them back up one. But after that, he did nothing. What? That's all I'm going to say about that. You know, Pacers fans will be like, "Oh, he's better than Brunson." Brunson will get the ball when the Knicks are down. Brunson takes that ball and he is trying to bring the team back. When the Pacers are down, it's Pascal Siakam or Andrew Nemhard or Aaron Nesmith going nuclear from three. So that leads me into game four. Game one, the Knicks had one. The game was over. Nobody can argue it. And then Aaron Nesmith decided to become Stephen Curry. Okay, you lost. Game two, the Knicks. Game two, the Knicks didn't have that. It just you could tell right away. But it was Pascal Siakam that won that Pacers game for them. Game three, nobody showed up for the well. No, I shouldn't say nobody showed up. They didn't have a guy go nuclear for them to win the game. So to me, the key to game four, don't let anybody go nuclear. Don't let them go on that run. You outscored them 39-20 in the fourth quarter, right? Why can't you play like that for an entire game? Shut them down. Don't try to outscore them. Don't let Haliburton get going because, the team is starting to play well. Don't let him do all that stuff. Play your game. Now, Brunson went 6 for 18 in game three. He has scored the ball very well in the first two games. Last night I thought last night, I think Macri said it was his worst playoff game that we have seen in a Knick uniform. And usually when he plays a bad game, the next game, he is on top of it. So I expect a better game from Brunson. And a sneaky injury. And I think a lot of people are talking about it, but it's still sneaky. Is Nesmith. If Nesmith is hurt, they don't have their best defender for Brunson. And the question is, who do they start? I don't think the Pacers bench has been that good. Everyone talks about their depth, but their bench has been dog shit. McConnell's a pest and a pain in the ass, but like Toppin really played that well. Their backup center right now is Tony Bradley. Mathurin really hasn't done anything. My guess is they would start Mathurin. That's my guess. But who's guarding Brunson? Nemhard? Nemhard can't guard Brunson. He can't. He's a good defender. I like Andrew Nemhard. If there is one guy on the Pacers that I would take in a second on the Knicks is Andrew Nemhard. I like Nemhard. But he can't guard Brunson. Haliburton can't guard Brunson. Mathurin can't guard Brunson. You're not gonna put Siakam on him. So I think Neesmith is gonna play, but if he's not close to 100%, that's not gonna be good for them. So that'll be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see. You know, most teams like to put their their wing on what's it called? On Karl Anthony Towns. And they put their center on Josh Hart. Well, with Mitch playing, you put your center. They put Turner on Mitch. But when Towns is playing in the 5 like he did in the fourth quarter, Turner could not guard him whatsoever. And they never made an adjustment. They haven't made an adjustment all series. And Towns has hurt them. Do they make that switch? But see, like, I don't think Siakam can guard Towns either. He's not the same defender he was in Toronto. In Toronto, he was an elite defender. He was very elite. But I think his foot speed has gotten down a little bit. But like, how do they match up? So obviously the Knicks are gonna start they're gonna start Mitch again. So Turner's gonna guard Mitch. Siakam's gonna guard Towns. If Neesmith is out or hindered and they start Mathurin, do they put Mathurin on Bridges? And they put Haliburton on OG. OG should kill him in the post. And Bridges should be able to post up Mathurin. So does that mean Nemhard then on Brunson? Interesting. On the other end, excuse me, guys. Sorry. On the other end, you're going to have Towns on Siakam, who I think he did a good job on Siakam. Yeah, I think his length bothered Siakam a little bit. Mitch, obviously, on Turner. I think they were putting OG on Nemhard and Bridges on Haliburton. I'm guessing they would do the same thing and just throw Brunson on Mathurin, who hasn't played well. Now listen, I caution. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Mathurin hasn't done anything." The dude can score. So if he comes out and scores 15 points in Game 4 in the first half, don't be surprised because that's just the Knicks. But Game 4 is interesting. We were talking about it during the Celtics series. As you get into the series, there's not much to analyze. You kind of know what the matchups are going to be. It's going to be interesting because Tibbs went deep into his bench. He went to DeLon Wright. He went to Shamet. And they rewarded him. And the bench played well. The bench outplayed the Pacers bench, which is their strength. I think that's part of the reason why the Knicks won Game 3, too. The advantage the Pacers have is their bench. It's their depth. They can run their guys nonstop for 48 minutes. Towns had a second gear in the fourth quarter, mainly because he didn't have to play a lot of minutes. Now, Brunson didn't play a lot of minutes in Game 3 because of foul trouble and whatnot. I also think Josh Hart had a little more gas, a little more pep to his step because he didn't have to play. I think he still played 35 minutes, but he had a little more juice. Now, if the Knicks are going to do this, can the bench outplay the Pacers bench? Now, starting the series, I said the Pacers bench is going to have to go against some of the Knicks starters. And I do think that the Knicks did get a little tired in Game 1. They let the foot off the gas. And I think they were tired in Game 2 in the fourth quarter. Game 3, they were not tired in the fourth quarter. The Knicks just didn't stop. And it was the first fourth quarter they've won in the series. So, if the Knicks continue to play DeLon Wright, Shamet, and Deuce with Josh Hart off the bench, can those 4 bring that same energy in game 4? Can they bring that same energy? Can DeLon Wright play that defense? Can Deuce play that defense? Can Shamit hit some threes? And can Hart fly all over the court? I think that's the key to this game. And it's kind of crazy to say not Towns or Brunson or Bridges or OG. But I think if those 4 can give the Knicks good minutes, I think they can win game 4. If the Pacers aren't flying around and the Knicks slow down the pace, they slow down the pace in the fourth quarter. And they're slowing down the pace because the Knicks have all this energy to slow it down. I think they could take game 4. Now, this is going to be the toughest game for the Knicks to win in this series. And I think that the Pacers are feeling it a little bit after game 3. They had the Knicks in the corner, bloodied and ready to go down, and they let them off the mat. The Knicks answered the 10 count. And the Pacers kind of lost their chance to go up 3-0. And the same thing kind of happened to the Knicks last year, where the Knicks had a chance to go up 3-0, and they didn't close it out in game 3. And then the Pacers won game 4. Knicks won game 5, but they ran out of gas. Not saying that's how it's going to go here. But the Knicks have a chance. If they come out strong in game 4, maybe the Pacers start thinking, oh no, we let them off the hook. Now, the Knicks got to take advantage of it. They gave you a lifeline. They gave you a lifeline. Can you take it? Will you take it? We have seen if the Knicks play big games and get big wins, they're up here, and to start the next game, they're down here. And it takes them a little bit to get back up. Can't do that in game 4. You still need another road win. And yeah, you could say, all right, we lose game 4, we win game 5, we can win game 6. Okay. But you do not want to be down 3-1. Let's get this tied 2-2. Win game 4, and then you have home court advantage. They got to win another one in the Garden. Now, they're going to say, we can win in the Garden. We've done it. We did it twice. But game 5 is going to be a different animal for them. If you go back to the Garden 2-2, now remember, Nesmith is going to have a bad ankle. You have to travel. The Pacers will be sleeping in a hotel. The Knicks will be at home. 1 day rest. You have a chance, and that Garden is going to be absolutely rocking if it's 2-2. If it is 2-2, you got the Garden back. The Pacers let you off the mat. Right now, you're against the rope still. You're swinging. You're connecting. Pacers are kind of backing off a little bit. But now you got to connect on a big one. Connect on a haymaker and tie this series up 2-2. Do it. Come out with that same fourth quarter energy. OG, come out with that same fourth quarter energy. Bridges, fourth quarter energy. Towns, that fourth quarter decisiveness, that aggressiveness. Do it. That's what they got to do. They can do it. This team has talent. This team is more talented than the Pacers. It took an Aaron Nesmith history game for them to win game 1. It took Pascal Siakam to score 40 for them to win. Do it. You don't have anything crazy going on in game 3? Yeah. Towns did what Towns does. He's an all-NBA player. Brunson was 6 for 18. Bridges was 6 for 18. OG scored 16 points. Josh Hart scored 6. McBride scored 9. But it was a team effort, and the energy was there in the second half. Do it again in game 4. I promise, guys, there will be a video after game 4. Win or lose. I think after game 1, I kind of needed a woosah moment. After game two, I just didn't have time. Busy weekend, running around everywhere. And here we are after game three. Now, I watched the game in Hershey for game three. Do I have to drive back to Hershey to watch game four? I can't do that. But everyone enjoy game four. Um, this team will fight. I think they will fight. They see the lifeline they got. I think that first half of game three, they saw their end. The season was over, and they fought back. They got a second chance. Take that second chance, and I think they will. I think they'll fight. I don't know if they're going to win, but they're going to fight. And I can see the Pacers being a little bit rattled, not fully, because they've been here. They've lost game three in the past two series, and then they won game four. But remember, game three is always the hardest for the team up 2-0 to win because the team comes out with so much energy. And there's a natural, like, we're up 2-0. I don't think last night's game was like that, though. And I'll tell you why. The Pacers didn't play that game like they were like, all right, we're up 2-0. We got this. And the Knicks didn't play it like, hey, we got to win game three. We're going to run them out of the gym. No, it was a close game. So I don't think it's going to be that type of game four where then the Pacers like, all right, let's put our foot on their necks. I think they're going to try to. They're going to try to throw another haymaker. And I think the Knicks got to try to throw a haymaker back. Get up by 10, 15 points and see what happens. But no lead is safe in the NBA, right, Tibbs? So enjoy game four. We'll talk after game four. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, subscribe, comment, and a little bit longer than normal, but a lot to talk about. So, Towns, thank you. Brunson, legacy game tomorrow. Everyone enjoy the night.